Hello fellow bird nerds, my name is Sophie and I'm a certified professional bird trainer, and today I'm going to give you my top tips for bonding with your green-cheeked conure. Don't tell the others in the flock, but green-cheeked conures are my favourite type of parrot. We have 4 of them here. We have Louie, Olive, Pickles and Scampi. I adore all of them as well as the rest of my flock. And they are such cheeky personalities, and it can take some time to build up a really lovely bond and friendship with our birds. So we want to make sure we're doing it in the best possible way to set our birds and ourselves up for success. If you're watching this video and you haven't actually got a conure yet and you're just thinking about how you're going to build a relationship with them, I highly recommend watching my reasons not to get a conure video. And you might be thinking, Sophie, well, I want a conure. Why wouldn't I want a conure? They aren't easy pets. They are difficult to live with, just like any parrot species, and they do have some unique species traits that you need to be aware of. So I recommend watching that one before you make any commitments to bringing in a bird into your life. No matter where you get your green-cheeked conure from, it's really important to have realistic expectations about starting your bonding process with your bird. There is no such thing as silly tame, amazingly perfectly hand tame, the bird's going to love you the second it comes home. Like, that does not exist. It's fairy tale, it's lies, and that's a way that people sell birds or try and pass on birds to people easily because they think that, you know, everything's gonna be fine, and it's not. These are sentient and individual creatures, and they have individual feelings and preferences and things like that. All of our birds here at BirdNerd HQ have completely different bonds with David and I. It's not just, well, we're humans, so we're just going to love all the humans. It doesn't work like that. Green-cheeked conures are also what we call a prey animal or a prey species. They would be eaten by other animals in the wild, and that makes them naturally suspicious, especially of us huge, great big giants. We are so much bigger than these little green cheeks, and yet we kind of expect them to think and feel in the same way as us, and that's not the case. They are tiny compared to us. We are really big, scary predators. Until they understand that actually we're awesome human beings, we need to teach them that in a slow process where we have lots of positive experiences. If you're watching this video because you've had your green-cheeked conure for a little while and you're really struggling with your bond and you feel like you're just not making any progress, I recommend starting with a clean slate. So just start from the beginning. Imagine that your bird has just come home, because we can build up all of these expectations, our past experiences, and all these things that we think our bird should be doing at this point. And it's much better for us all to just start afresh, start from the bottom, and then build up the foundation skills from there. Every green-cheeked conure is also an individual, so try not to be influenced by social media too much. I know it's easily done, I'm showing you clips throughout this video about how awesome conures are, but they all have individual personalities and individual learning rates, and they're all just so unique. So don't expect, because you see a certain green cheek online doing a certain thing in a certain way or bonding up with their human in a certain amount of time, that you should have the same experience. Every experience is going to be unique and individual to you and your bird. The first thing we like to do when we bring a new bird home and we start the bonding process is something called passive bonding. Sounds a bit technical, but what it means is allowing your bird to get used to you without having a direct interaction. I did mention, of course, that conures are a prey species, so they can be a little bit apprehensive, a bit nervous. You know, is this human going to eat me, or are they going to be my friend? So doing passive bonding allows your bird to get to know you without having to have that direct interaction, because things like eye contact can be quite scary for some conures, overstimulating for others. So just bearing that in mind and doing some passive bonding to start off with is very useful. There'll be different advice online about just get your bird out immediately and start interacting one-on-one immediately. From our own experience, we don't find any benefit to that, because it takes away a lot of choice and it just creates more fear and stress for a bird who's literally just come home. We prefer to start with some really nice passive techniques that can go nice and slowly for our birds so that they can get used to us. So with passive bonding, what you can do is sit near your bird's cage, not to the point where they're stressed, just to the point where they acknowledge that you're there, and you can just scroll on your mobile, you can read a book, you can watch one of our videos, you can just be in their space, and they can get used to your voice, your mannerisms, body language, all that kind of stuff, and know that you're not coming up and immediately demanding an interaction. Now, if you find that your bird is actually seeking out interaction from you in this very initial stage of the passive bonding, that's great, skip to the next step, that's totally fine. But we want to give our birds a chance to, again, get to know us without having to have that direct interaction or any kind of forced interaction at all. We want everything to be permission-based, consent-based, choice-based as well. So we want to give our birds the opportunity to make those choices and also initiate some of that interaction as well. Once your bird has had a little bit of time to get used to you, you can start treating them through the bars. You can offer them some things that they might like millet or sunflower seed or chopped up bits of nut or bits of fruit, and you can present it at the bars with your fingers and see if they'd like to come and take it. Some birds, again, because parrots are naturally curious, they may come up and have a little nibble, and that's great, and you can start to really build on some of the other skills that you can do with them. But some birds are going to be naturally a little bit more fearful, and maybe they don't want to come up and approach the treat. So what do you do in that situation? You do something called the treat bowl exercise. It sounds, again, we're just naming exercises because it's easier to refer to them. With the treat bowl exercise, what we typically do is add an extra bowl into our bird's cage that's not the food or water bowl. It's a separate bowl next to what we call a peeking perch, and that's typically a perch on the inside door of the cage. So when the cage swings open, the perch will be there, and we put a little bowl next to it. And then what we'll do is we will approach our bird's cage, drop a treat in the bowl next to that perch, and we'll keep walking. And then at different points throughout the day, we'll do the same thing. Treat in the bowl, but keep walking. We're not standing there staring at them, talking to them, trying to coax them over. The second that we approach the cage, there's just something yummy popping in that bowl and we are walking off. And over time, your bird's going to start to understand, once they come and check out that bowl and be like, oh, there's something yummy in there, that you are the bringer of some really good stuff. So that is a really great way of allowing your bird to kind of approach the treat and the bowl in their own time if they're a bit more nervous, and then they'll start to link you approaching with good things coming. Of course, we want to be looking for some of the treats that our birds actually find valuable, because, you know, if somebody is trying to treat me with a salad, I'm not going to be very interested. But if they want to treat me with pizza or chocolate, that is reinforcing for me. Don't use that for your birds though. But we want to be making sure that we are offering healthy treats for our birds that they actually find rewarding. Part of this will come with making sure your bird is on a healthy diet to start off with. Again, I've got a whole video on how to get your bird to eat vegetables and things. But what you can do, either if your bird wants to interact or if they are nervous, if they want to interact, you can do a treat hierarchy test like my partner David, the parrot teacher, has, where you lay out a load of treats on a bit of paper, let your bird out the cage, and they can come and pick, and you can see what they go for first, second and third. Or if they're very nervous, in your treat bowl you can put maybe 5 different treats, and again I have a video on top 5 treats for small birds. You can put like a hemp seed, sunflower seed, millet, walnut and pine nut. Pop that in the bowl, step back, and then observe what that bird goes for first, second and third. Try it a few times and then you'll get an idea of what they actually value. Then you can reserve those treats just for interactions with you, or just for that treat bowl exercise where you approach and say, for example, sunflower seed is their favourite. Every time you approach, it's a sunflower seed in the bowl and keep walking. But as I said, if you need more kind of detail on how to offer a treat hierarchy test to your bird, check out David, the parrot teacher's video on that. You can just search treat hierarchy test on YouTube and that'll come up for you. It's important when we are starting to build a bond with our bird that we are nice and calm. We don't want to get them overexcited, we don't want to get them overstimulated, really revved up, because somebody's going to end up being bitten. We want to keep interactions nice and calm and chill and relaxed. So we're going to move kind of slowly but obvious with our movements. We can talk softly as well. Again, be mindful of that eye contact, because at the start some birds can be a little bit nervous about lots of eye contact and staring at them through the bars. Again, observe your bird's behaviour. It's so important to get to understand conure body language. It's very different to other species of parrot. Again, my partner David, the parrot teacher, has got some fantastic guides on how to understand conure sounds, behaviours and their meanings, because you might think that your bird is really happy and excited, but actually it could be precursors to you being bitten shortly, because actually they're really overstimulated, they're getting agitated, and a lot of those behaviours do overlap. And again, some of this will come with experience once you get to know your bird, but you can have a look at some of these examples online from reputable people who actually can read the body language correctly, and then you can see what your bird is actually displaying through their body language. Once we start to understand our conure's body language, we can understand what they're actually trying to communicate with us. They are going to be giving us clear signs of yeses and nos with how we're interacting with them. And if they're telling you no and you're ignoring it because you're so excited because you want to interact, or you don't understand they're saying no, again, you're probably going to get bitten, and then that's going to break any trust you may have. It's going to break their trust, and it's going to be a whole thing. So when you are working with your bird, really respect their boundaries, allow them to say no if they don't want to interact with you at that point. Take a step back, but always try to end your interactions on a positive. Always try and leave with your bird kind of wanting more and really enjoying the experience, because if you're leaving because they're fed up with you, or they've had enough, or they just, you know, they want some time away from you, that's not really ending the experience very well. We want our birds to always be enjoying being around us, and that is where giving them a lot of choices with saying yes and no with the interactions is very important. I mentioned at the start how we should try not to assume that our conures think in the same way as us, and a really good example that unfortunately a lot of people do, again by accident or because they've seen different advice online, is they want to get their bird out immediately but the bird doesn't want to come out the cage. So what do? They think, well, you know, the bird likes me, so what I'll do is I'll put my hand in the cage and I'll just kind of move it up to my bird, and I'll keep putting my hand in the cage and I'll bring it to a corner, and then it will step up because my hand will be right next to them. Again, what is going to happen? Your bird is going to bite you because you're backing it into a corner. Instead of your bird coming out of the cage by choice, you are going into their personal space and giving them no choice, or the choices are you get bitten or I step up through force. So try and put yourself in the perspective of the conure and how they might feel in that situation, being very small, you being very large, and that can help you to kind of just take a little step back and not try and rush your bond, because rushing is not going to help you, it's going to make things a lot worse. It's not a race when you are bonding with your bird. Of course you want to have the most awesome relationship with them, but that takes time, just like any relationship. You need to build on it slowly and make all of these positive interactions with them. One of the things that we recommend to our clients who have consultations with us through our business Best Behaved Birds, links down below, is to film interactions. If you set up your phone, or if you have a camera, laptop, tablet, whatever it may be, and film your interaction with your bird, you'll get loads of information when you watch that back after the interaction. Because again, when we're in the moment, we're thinking, you know, why is my bird behaving like this? I don't understand. When you watch it back, it could be your body language, it could be you're distracted on your phone whilst you're trying to interact and they're getting frustrated, where are my treats? It could be a scary car alarm going on outside and that's made them agitated, and then you've ended up, you know, getting bit because they're getting scared and you're trying to have that interaction and they're not ready. There's lots of information, including body language cues, that you can get from watching that video back and seeing what your bird is doing and the consequences of their actions as well. Once your bird is reliably taking treats from you and they want to interact with you, you can start with one of the core essential skills for your bird, which is target training. It's essentially where your bird touches the end of a stick gently and they get a treat for it. It sounds really simple, but it's a clear line of communication between you and your bird. They know exactly what to do, you know exactly what you want them to do, and it's a way of teaching them loads of cool things. You can teach them tricks like spinning and waving, you can teach them recall, you can get them down from high places when they're being cheeky. You can get them in and out the cage by guiding them with the target stick. It has loads of different applications, and one of the best ones as well is teaching your bird to reduce their bite force. That's where you come in from up above and far away and you slowly bring the target stick towards them so they can only touch it gently with their beak or their tongue. We never want to reward our birds for biting on the target stick or putting it in their mouth, because then we're just saying, hey, put stuff that I offer you, including my fingers, in your mouth and then you'll get a treat, and that just encourages more biting or harder biting. I do have a whole video on target training that I recommend checking out after this video, because it is a core skill for every bird, maybe even every pet. I think that it is fantastic. It allows you to communicate in the same language from something so simple, and of course it is always about choice. So if your bird doesn't want to interact, that's completely fine. How can we change the way that we're doing things to set our birds up for success? Again, maybe like with the treat bowl, maybe you offer the target stick to your bird and they don't want to approach you. What do you do in that scenario? What I recommend is presenting the target stick, and if your bird looks at it, they acknowledge it, they just turn in that direction, great, you can have a treat, back away. Next time we present, maybe they just do one step towards the target stick and then they're like, oh, I don't know, they can have a treat for that as well. They are making tiny little choices to approach this scary stick. Again, looks really simple to us, to them it might be terrifying. So how can we break down that behaviour to allow them to succeed? And that can just be acknowledging the target stick, and then you can go from there and just go baby steps all the way up to them coming over and touching it with their beak. These are the foundational kind of steps to start when you are bringing home a brand new green cheek conure into your family. It's really important to just go slow and just understand them as an individual. But that target training is one of those essential skills for every single parrot, and I highly recommend watching my video next on target training. I hope you enjoyed this one, but in the meantime, take care and I'll see you in the next one.